It hurts. Yeah, it says we're live. Okay, hey everybody,
No,
welcome.
no,
And
no. You got to wait to the timer.
it ended right?
Oh, it kind of did now. Go ahead, Dave. Sorry,
It did. Sorry, was I premature
you
on
were.
this?
There was a premature.
Yeah. Uh, with the little Horgon maybe. Okay, here we are here on Star Trek. Sorry, we're here on Live Long and Podcast tonight. It is the finale of the first season of Star Trek Lower Decks that aired today on here in Canada on Star Trek or sorry on CTV Sci-Fi Channel. I'm sorry, and in the States on CBS All Access. I'm Dave Mater coming at you with Star Trek TV movie reviews, joined with my brother Jeff Mater and co-host Jaemeel Robinson as we've been covering this whole season of Lower Decks. And we finished with this episode tonight, the finale. And it was a big punch. There was a lot going on in this episode. And the three of us, just coming off of our Big Brother podcast earlier tonight, we saw Tyler evicted from the Big Brother house. Spoilers if you're a Big Brother fan. Sorry, but we also see this episode, which was a lot, a whole bunch of references. I think I don't even know which reference to talk about first. There were so many references in this episode, but it was also kind of a really interesting episode. I thought, Jeff, what you haven't said much. You were kind of quiet while we were watching. What are you thinking?
R.I.P. Shax. R.I.P. Man,
That
sad
hurt
to see
him.
him go.
I felt
That
bad for you.
hurt. He was my favorite character. He was the everything was Shax. They kill him.
R.I.P. Shax is the headline of this hour. Yeah, the death of Shax.
It's not fair.
He's with the prophets now.
He's with the prophets now, Jeff.
They better bring him back.
Busting somebody up or whatever it is. 1 second. I need
Cisco brings him back.
my speakers.
Is it because is Fred Tatasciore not doing like the second season and they just?
Well, I
needed
think he'll still probably be in the cast as some kind of a like probably doing another voice role. Hold on, I just have to refresh my feed.
It's possible that they might be doing like a reboot of the series because you can kind of see by the end of this episode, it kind of sets itself in a different direction with a variety of characters. What? Jody?
Yeah, he liked it. He liked it. He says he liked it, so he was. That's high praise from Jody, I think, on this
Yes.
one.
He's like Star Trek's on a roll. I'm going to start watching Discovery.
He's on to Discovery. He's
that's the context of what he's saying. It actually means it was good. I'm gonna follow and watch Discovery. That's what Jody means.
Hey, question 2. There was big news today about Star Trek in the animated world, because in this episode, of course, we had Will Riker and Deanna Troi, voiced by their actors Jonathan Frakes and Marina Sirtis, respectively, and that's big, and we will get to that. But I also, with the other big news today, with Kate Mulgrew will be back as Catherine Janeway in this new Star Trek on Nickelodeon. What's it called? Star Trek Prodigy?
Prodigy, yes.
Yeah, and it's going to be the first kids aimed animated show that's good. Apparently it's a 5 to 15 age range is what they're going for. So I don't know. We'll see if that's what that is. But just to kind of hear that the alumni of Star Trek and their characters are coming back into the fold and they're leaning more and more into that, I'm excited. And Jeff, if there was ever doubt if this series is canon, I think that this episode seals it.
No,
this was canon.
because Riker was acting just like Riker would from TNG in this episode.
Right.
Give me a break.
You don't think he would have talked about his little Horgons on the bridge and then got a
No,
gas number
I
as he was
don't. I
going
don't
out?
think the dialogue was consistent at all with how Riker is. The performance
Maybe just
might have
every
been
person,
like the delivery.
maybe every person in their Lower Decks iteration is just a slightly exaggerated version of themselves.
But it's not canon.
Well, then is it actually the opposite of what I'm saying? Or is that what you're trying to say?
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, I guess.
So if it isn't canon,
Discovery's canon, but you know it's
Discovery sucks.
because Jeff is like, there's a real Shatz out there and he's still alive. Because
That's
this
right.
is not canon.
This is just the Lower Deck Shax is dead.
Yes.
But the canon
Oh, no.
Shax, if there is such a thing, because there's not, or you know,
He's
there would
with
be.
he's with Ensign Rowe on DS9.
He's with the prophets. He's with.
No,
the
he's
prophets.
with in canon. He's with Ensign Rowe. Sorry, Rowe Lauren on DS9 because she's commanding
Why would
DS9.
you? Why would you kill off your funniest character?
Are you pissed
I
off about
don't-
the Shaq's death, huh?
Yeah, I'm not happy about it.
At least
I
it was
knew
for something. It was to
immediately.
beat these.
I knew immediately once he passed away. He passed, and rest in power, Shaq. That you would be angry. I think you would have been perfectly fine with this episode if he survived.
Well, yeah, I think the stupid robot thing, Peanut Brittle or whatever the fuck its name was.
The Exocomp?
Yeah, what a dick move. All right, I'm out, and I'm just gonna transport into space.
Yeah, that was not cool. I didn't think that was very Starfleet, and I think that was it Peanut Brittle or something. Yeah, what is it? Peanut? It was a dumb name. It was
a dumb name.
But a whole bunch of great things in this episode, Jeff. And I think that the death of Shax is maybe. I wasn't happy. I said no. I'm not happy he's gone. But I think that the fact that they killed off the security chief in a show that's largely homage to TNG is not surprising. I think this is almost a tribute to Teshiar. Maybe we will get the evil Shax or the Sela version
Mirror
of
Shax?
Yeah.
We gotta get Mirror Shax.
Yeah.
But did Shax sleep with anyone prior to? Like, did he sleep with
He was going to sleep with Dr. Ta'ana.
Oh, maybe they did actually get. No, they didn't in this episode.
That was great too. That they were he was like, what did she say she wanted to do to his Bajoran something or others? Well, I think we should just talk about this thing maybe through the episode because there's so much to unpack in this. Okay, so much. And I'm grateful now more than ever, Jeff, that we do these original series rewatches because I would not have known about this episode that they were referencing at the beginning of this episode with Andrew and the Beta 3. That was an episode I had never seen before, which is the Return of the Archons, or it's something maybe I'd seen barely.
Yeah,
we watched it.
Right, and it's all about this planet like they that Kirk had been to, and they were all living like in an old Western town, but they're aliens, and they were basically run by a computer ran their society, and it was one of the times that Kirk talked a computer to death. But I think that there was an interesting thing really planted in here is that just because like that Starfleet never follows up on things. I think that that's kind of the premise of Wrath of Khan, right? Where he's like, yeah, so Kirk dropped me on this planet, and he never bothered to check on what was going on with us, and then the thing blew up, and everyone died, and that's that leads to the Wrath of Khan, literally speaking. So I think that I think that it's a decent criticism of Star Trek in terms of how it deals with sort of the long-term consequences of stuff.
Absolutely.
Right.
So,
I think that this is canon because it's so serious and awesome too. It's great.
So once again, this show, to me, it doesn't really matter if it's canon or not. It doesn't really impact how I enjoy the show. But as a supplementary piece, I think it did a great job in terms of really making me appreciate what I've seen before and rewarding me as a fan that I understood these references, right? If you're a new fan, right, love that you're enjoying Star Trek, and maybe this is the reason why they go back and watch that episode of TOS. Those
TOS.
old science guy,
those old scientists. TOS era. Those old scientists era is what he means.
But like, it's things like that. You really see stuff like Star Wars get that type of tongue-in-cheek show that is like a love letter to its past, right, and its fan base. And this episode and the last couple of episodes have done a great job in terms of making you feel kind of proud to be a fan, right? Whereas some
you feel like you're being rewarded for your
episodes earlier, you're kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm so sad, right? And some people could say that Discovery does that, but the whole point of the matter is we should, and I felt this way even before. We should appreciate this moment in time. Yes, this is not necessarily what we would have the ideal state of a Star Trek per se, but we have um, multiple shows on at the same time of Star Trek.
Yeah.
We have convention panels, multiple panels that are getting international coverage. We're starting to see, even though it's more adult based, merchandise for Star Trek, new merchandise, mind you, for Star Trek coming out, which for a time there was kind of like, we didn't really see that much, right?
Right.
I will appreciate this moment and I'll think to it. Sure, it could have been better, but I'm glad at least for a time that I could say that, oh, a season of Star Trek is over, and oh, a new Star Trek season is beginning again. I couldn't really say that previously.
Pretty incredible when you think about it. Yeah, and that I like this Lower Decks Star Trek just as much as I like almost all the other Star Treks. I think, we'll see how much that appreciation goes with time. Like, will I be loving this Lower Decks 10 years from now? We'll see. Like, it's hard to say if I'll have that long-term appreciation like I do with TNG and D Space 9 and the other ones that I grew up watching. But I think I will, because if it has these things in Star Trek that I love. It's reminding me why I love Star Trek. It's rewarding me for being a fan, but it's also telling me something new and bringing a new dynamic to the franchise that I never considered. And I think that they are starting to right the ship, because there are like that first season of Discovery was a real roller coaster, because I think as fans we were struggling with a lot of the retconning, but there was a lot of good stuff in there. And then I really took a deep dive in season 2, where I was just like, man, I just feel like the whole thing is going off the rails. The JJ movies were fine, but they didn't necessarily um, it didn't stimulate me like something like the way this did tonight. And make me excited to be a fan. And I feel like it's given a whole new reinvigoration. This Lower Decks show has given it a reinvigoration into the franchise that was desperately needed. And it's made me excited to watch Discovery, which I definitely would not have been before watching this. So I feel like it's increased my confidence level.
I would say that this show did a great job of showing two things specifically. One, Star Trek can be funny, and we've seen examples of it where it's done poorly, and places where we were laughing at it because it was enjoyable. So Star Trek is a property that could be funny and find an audience. Yes, it exists. A second thing, especially in this episode, they did a really good job in terms of action and presenting the action as well, right? Now, if you are like, hey, we're having a kid show, we can have a comedy show. If they were to make like a Clone Wars esque show in terms of long form storytelling, um, I personally wouldn't mind it. Patrick Stewart is old as F, right? And if we can squeeze out a couple more years of him being Jean-Luc Picard, but it's animated, and we have an unlimited budget because it's animated, and we're able to tell competent stories and not have to worry about, well, are we able to get Jonathan Frakes in, down to wherever we're recording in California to make a cameo, or we can just get him on Zoom and he can record some lines, right, as he has a beer, right? I wouldn't mind if Star Trek transitions to adult storytelling, long form animated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'd be fine with that, because it's a medium. As long as the animation is a style that isn't one of my faux pas, which this is definitely not. I'm fine with this style of animation, and in how it relates. And I thought the action tonight was good. I thought I was excited. I felt like I was on an adventure, right? And I think that you can do some great storytelling. And I think that that they're trying to do something maybe that's never been done with any kind of connected universe, is trying to have sort of all of these different properties. Like Star Wars a little bit has done this, but it's all these different properties that are connected in this big world together, but they're not the same tone. Like, they're completely different tones. They're completely different, almost approach. It's almost like you have a sitcom that's in the same world as like NYPD Blue. It's like, I guess those could be in the same world, but it's strange that they would be. So that's I think that's does that work? Does it not? I guess so, because the more I rewatch original series episodes, I go, this is nothing like the Star Trek I really grew up watching, right? Like it is and it isn't. It has a completely different feel because it's the 1960s, and it's only in 20 years later they reinvented Star Trek in the Next Generation era forward. And then there was sort of the dark years where we had nothing, and then J.J. Abrams movies came along, but those were sort of mixed. I think it wasn't completely received so well, right? Jody's saying, "I'm with Dave here. It is for the fans." Jody's walking it back. He's saying, "Okay, maybe he was harsher on it earlier in the season." But
look, we can all walk back our opinions like it's not set in stone, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a combination of things that's happening at work. It's not like we've seen one episode and that's it and that's we're judging it on. It's a progressive thing. As they show us more stuff, our opinions either cement or they change, right? And Jody's has changed. I think that I've been pretty in the middle of the road, and I like Lower Decks. I look forward to next season, right? That being said, I am looking forward to seeing what they do from here. Honestly, in my opinion, I would say thank you, live action Star Trek. You can take a knee, right? You can take a knee right now.
This is the new standard.
No, I mean in the sense of, if we're making shows for Star Trek, why not make it animated, right? Honestly, all year round there'll be Star Trek. So going forward, Discovery, sure, we'll have it animated. After Discovery, we'll have
Picard.
an anthology show. In this, it could be a second season of Picard. It could be
Strange New Worlds.
With Strange New Worlds. It could be, hey, we're gonna animate books or previous stories of Star Trek that never been shown, like was it Imzadi or the Black Heart?
There's so much. Like great novels out there they could adapt into
Why not?
stories. Why not? And I'm with you, because there's so much potential in the franchise. And to your point earlier, yeah, we just ended a show where we have to head into a new show, and that's not even it. Like we have Lower Decks now. We have Discovery. Of course we have Star Trek Picard. We'll see when that's back with the pandemic. I'm not quite sure when we'll get the second season. But these animated shows are not as hampered by this. Then we got to get this Star Trek Prodigy, right? And then which is this new kids show that Kate Mulgrew is getting involved with, Catherine Janeway. And then the other one is Strange New Worlds, which is the new, almost, I guess, a spin-off of Discovery, a spin-off of the original series, sort of this whole new show with Pike, but he's not. Yes, he is Pike, but it's like this whole new version, or a new actor playing Pike, a new actor playing Pike. Yeah. And Spock and Number One and all those, the Enterprise before Kirk showed up is like what we're gonna see there, and that might be good too. So it's almost a great time to be a Star Trek fan. We're gonna be busy, I think, on Live Long and Podcast for a while.
I just want them, their thought process shouldn't be, hey, we're gonna just pump out seasons of shows. Looking forward, we're like, we have a story to tell, we're gonna tell a story, right? If we have a bunch of stories, we're gonna have a season of anthology episodes. That's how it's.
Jody's just saying, hey, but I stand by that the first episodes were not so good.
You're absolutely right. And our ratings, like, we agreed with you, our ratings in comparison to the beginning of the series compared to the latter part of the series absolutely matches that.
Yeah, I think we can look. Well, we'll talk when we do the rating for this one. We'll see what was sort of the up down progression for us.
I fear for Jeff's rating.
Yeah, we'll see what Jeff's average.
There's 2 points lost, 2 points automatically.
Yeah, I'm definitely taking a point off tonight's episode, and I have a very good cause for that. You may already be speculating what that is.
For Bajor.
It was not for that. It was definitely not that.
Pa Race, go back to where you belong.
I'm gonna miss Shax, man. I'm gonna miss him.
You know what? If I don't, I'm gonna be disappointed if tomorrow I don't see online RP Shax t-shirts. I'm gonna be disappointed. I want to see that.
I would wear a shirt that says RIP Sachs. He's with the Prophets now.
Yes.
Okay. But I just want to keep moving through this episode. So we talked about the fact they start in Bay 3. Okay, the whole thing with Freeman being outed by Boimler here as the Freeman is her mother. And that and then it was like over the intercom, everyone heard it while Freeman and Boimler and Mariner were handing out
Crayons and
crayons to the
artistic
Badens.
supplies. Yeah.
The Badens for some reason. I don't know. Telling them not to worship a computer anymore.
To progress the creative, stoke the creative fires.
I think they just like festival over there on Beta 3 with Landrew, and they're like festival, right? Peace and tranquility with you. What of this is the Riker split, dude? If you do a season recap, I want on it. Yeah. Well, we're gonna do a season recap. I think the Millards want to come in and give their thoughts too. So we're gonna do we're gonna do that sometime soon, pretty soon. And what if this is the Riker split, dude? What if this is like Tom Riker? Is what you're saying, Thomas Riker? I don't think it's Thomas Riker, but maybe
Thomas Riker's still being beat on a Cardassian prison planet.
Cardassian labor camp. He's hauling rocks somewhere. He's taking big rocks from another room and putting them somewhere else.
Put them in little rocks.
That's what you get for being a Maquis, Tom Riker. That's what you get.
Yeah, stealing the Defiant all those years ago.
He killed a lot of Cardassians on that run. It's amazing that he didn't get a death.
Yeah.
What he did there. But
well, technically, you want to beat him and take as many Starfleet secrets as possible.
But are you guys glad that the Mariner thing got like the whole Freeman Mariner thing was just outed in this way, and that was kind of done? That was kind of even before the intro.
I don't even care about the mother-daughter thing.
The relationship.
Yeah, like it's just like thing to kind of for them to bounce off each other with.
Yeah.
To me,
you're absolutely right, Jeff, and I think they realized that, and that's why they're like, we need to get this out of the way. We're moved on from this. It's a device that we don't really need. This is not Flash or a WB show where secrets have to be held, and it's like we can't tell secrets, but then we have a secret, and then it gets revealed, and it's like earth-shattering. No, they did it. They got rid of it, and they moved on to the main story. So, Jeff, you're absolutely right.
When Shax rips off Rutherford's face. That was pretty cool.
That was pretty. I was not expecting that.
And the fucking Baxi or what the fuck its name is, the stupid star thing is back. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't like this
Badgie.
Like, I don't like this Badgie.
I hate Badgie. I'm glad. I hope Badgie's dead for good. But here that made Shax's sacrifice worth it. Worth it. It was not in vain. The destruction of Badgie was a worthwhile cause.
Badgie technically is not destroyed.
Badgie's not worth it. It's in vain.
I don't like it.
But Rutherford won't remember to bring up that program. So,
but the whole thing with Mariner tonight, her getting revealed as the captain's daughter, everyone's sucking up to her and how much that goes on in Starfleet. Clearly, I thought that was kind of interesting, but not like I'm just kind of glad it's sort of resolved and kind of done for this first season. And with this whole thing, and just moving through the plot, like the USS Solvang shows up here. Captain Dayton, right? I don't know if we had seen Captain Dayton here, but this is sort of the setup, the big more action stuff of the episode where they run into the grappling arm of this big ship that basically takes them out. They're about to get away, and she goes to warp while they have a grappling hook on them, and they rip their whole ship apart. It was pretty awesome. It was kind of a crazy, but it was also it had the comedy of Lower Decks, right? He's
kind of dark.
Kind of dark, but that's Star Trek.
This episode was darker and more cinematic,
which I liked. I loved that. I was like, you can have it both ways. You can have your cake and eat it too. You can have the comedy, and you can also have the these really like intense episodes sometimes with these characters.
So
I'm along for the ride.
Yeah, you know who wrote it, right?
Was it Cochran? No, I don't know.
Nope. It was our showrunner, Mike.
Mike McMahon.
Yeah, he wrote it.
So Mike McMahon, he's That's how you say it, right?
I think
It
so.
makes sense that the showrunner would write the opening episode and the finale for for the season. So that makes the most sense. The dead dude, Shax, I think he means, will be dead. He will be like a Romulan clone, like Denise Crosby. That's what I'm saying, Jody. I think that they're gonna bring back. He'll be like the dead first officer, but he didn't die from that black goo thing that killed Tashiar. He
Like
died,
Harry Kim too.
or Harry Kim too. Yeah,
Harry Kim
he'll
too.
come back as a Kobali. Yeah, like I thought that was really dark as with the whole Sylvang. I think it really sets up the stakes of the episode that this is a really dangerous situation. We'll come to who the aliens are, but it's after that we meet the Peanut Hamper is the name of the exocomp
Ugh,
that comes in
that's so
here.
terrible. That's so terrible.
Did you guys like the exocomp and Peanut and its personality and its the whole thing with Tendi?
I like
No.
Tendi. I don't like the exocomp at all.
The peanut hamper was annoying.
Peanut Hamper was not a great Starfleet officer.
No,
He did a disservice to the exocomp name.
killed Shax.
Basically, got Shax killed because
Got
this
Shax killed. You peanut
that
hamper.
died for you, Peanut Hamper. So yeah. Screw you,
So I'm
Peanut
glad you're
Hamper. You're
floating
not
around
with me.
space.
I liked that it was kind of interesting that they brought an exocomp back. I don't know if this story needed that, but with everything else that was going on, but it was fine. I also liked that it wore a Starfleet uniform of types, even with the white boots for the science division on its look there. So I thought that was important to talk about. Yeah, okay. Then we get more of Freeman and her mother, or sorry, Freeman and Mariner talking about their relationship and everything else. And there's references to Wesley Crusher and Beverly Crusher working together. And Ransom comes along, and it's all about this promotion to the Sacramento. Presumably another California class ship, which they're all named after
Cities in California.
facilities in California. This type of ship, and I guess they wear their own uniform. It must be that like the California class Starfleet all wear this particular uniform, because we later see that when the Titan shows up with Riker and Deanna, they're wearing the 2370s dominant style with the gray shoulders.
Does that make you feel better though? If they've
It
now
does.
specify that it is only the California class uniforms.
Yeah, or it's something along those lines. Yeah, or that different classes of ship maybe wear a different uniform or something, whatever, however you want to think about it. Yeah, I do. That does make me feel better because it helps me resolve the canon because it's all canon. So it's moving through the story.
Stop doing that to him. Stop it, Dave.
Yeah, I know. We talked to then we see Mariner bump into Dr. Ta'ana, who talks about how she's thinking about hooking up with Shax and what she would do to him. I don't remember the exact quote, but I think there was a feline growl there that was quite humorous. And it's when they get a call they get the distress call, and they say, should we call the Titan? And she goes, no, we'll go in. Right. And so was this the right move by Captain Freeman? Was this is she always trying to put herself in dangerous situations just to prove that she's a great captain? She doesn't want to be sort of a forgotten person in history.
But 99 times out of 100, that situation wouldn't be a dire one. So I think that is the right call. Right? It is aligned in terms of her own ego, but it is the right call. There's no indication that there is any massive amounts of danger.
No, it's not. They don't. But it's a distress call. So every time you go in for a distress call, you have to assume that it could be dangerous. Anyway, so just that's on my only little note there. But then so Mariner eventually decides maybe it's good if she gets off the ship. So she decides that if I want to, I can roll down my sleeves, I can do up my hair, and I can pretend I'm a good officer, and I can get this job if I want. Which really irks Boimler, because Boimler. Well, I think he's because he's jealous that she can have it. It's also their friendship, but as we see by the end of the episode, maybe that's really not what motivates Boimler so much. We'll see how this all comes back next season. Did you guys like any of that? Like Mariner going for the job, or Mariner just like more buttoned up Mariner?
It makes sense. Like if this was like the first 3 episodes, this would have been its own episode. And we would have been, oh my gosh, this thing is just taking so long, or I don't care. But as it was kind of rolled in with everything else, like an actual Star Trek hour-long episode, there'd be, the B storylines that you'd be following, the character progression through the episode. We automatically are put in a position where we see this character that we know change to fit a specific mold, and then it is revealed that their old previous mentality is what is required and what is important for the survival of the ship. They revert, and then they're successful.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Yeah, for sure. Okay, just moving to the story. Okay, so I don't know. What's going on? Yeah, there's more of this peanut hamper stuff. Peanut hamper's good.
We can just skip over that part
Let's just skip
altogether.
over the peanut hamper stuff. Whatever. She's good at like Tendy's stuff with Peter Hamper wasn't my favorite stuff in this. It was everything else. It had more to do with just like, yeah, they get in there and then they're suddenly under the attack by the pack. It turns out to be the Packlets, who have become like harvesters, and they've started like because as we saw in the Next Generation, which is one of their only appearances, we've seen Packlet characters like sort of in the background over time, but they turned out to be way more mean, Jaemeel, tonight. They were mean in their original appearance. Remember, they shot Geordi. They were going to kill Geordi. It was just that they kind of outwitted them with banter with the original appearance, and they were kind of a joke. But
we're not smart. They are smart. They're strong.
We want more things. We need ship things, ship parts, until we have all the ship parts. Jeff, were you happy to see the Packlets used in this role as in the villain?
I was fine with it. It didn't really bother me, or I wasn't like, oh, that's cool. It was I liked the original series reference to the computer. Landru
was more the reference you enjoyed than this.
Yeah, and I don't know, like the overall episode I thought was like very cinematic and was kind of like what I thought the show was originally going to be. And so I wonder like if they're going to go more this route, or they're just going to do this for finales. That's kind of what I thought.
Doesn't it feel like it's 2 separate shows now, where it's like Bormuller's like adventures, and then there is Mariner's kind of situation as well? Like they technically have like diverted, right, a little bit. I think it's like a season finale trope, but it does feel like it's going in 2 different divergent paths.
Well, I would rather more episodes like this and more episodes like last week. Like, like they were both really strong. Like the episodes that are like, I think my least favorite episode this season. Well, I'll have to actually look at what my least favorite episode was. But like the things that I'm finding less memorable are the things that don't matter, that are just jokes or are just like these weird like meta things like that. I'm just like, okay, you're taking it too far for me because it's less canon. So it's make sure you respect it and don't cross the line. Like there's a certain line I have, and this was definitely not doing it mostly. Although I thought the exocomp was kind of weird, in how it came across. I think that exocomp deserves a court martial, quite frankly. But yeah, like just more action, more exciting, more stakes. I think Shax's death shows stakes to the show, that these characters can die, that things can happen, there can be consequences. Obviously, what we see here with Rutherford and him getting his implants ripped out here, and him losing his memory as a consequence from these events. So there's a continuity here that we're going to be following, which I think is a good thing. That this isn't just a static show like Voyager, even, that never changed much in its 7 years.
Yeah. Okay.
So we talked about the Packlets, them attacking, the whole team up. Mariners. So Captain Freeman looks to her daughter Mariner to say, "You're the one who's going to help us like figure out how to take over these Packlets, how to beat their attack. Use every
underhanded break
way.
Break Starfleet protocol method you think of, and she does. So they understand that, okay, we can't outgun them, we're undermanned, what can we do? We need someone to like they have an open system so it can be compliant with all the different pieces that they have. So they're like, okay, a virus would be the best thing. Who can make a virus? Rutherford understands that he can't make it in time, so he employs Badgie. He turns off the protocols to be able to do so. Badgie, we see him revert to his old evil character, but plays along, provides 3 different viruses, but it has to be uh, manually inputted into the system on the other ship. There's a fight sequence, and then we see that Freeman is injured, and then Freeman is taken to shuttle to sick bay, where she's taken care of. I'm sorry if I'm running through it. I don't have the pizzazz that you have, Dave, in terms of recapping. It just feels like I'm just like on and on and on. We see Rutherford come out of the chute. He explains the situation. Everyone looks to Peanut Hamper Peanut, whatever it's called. Hamper Peanut declines, says deuces, transported out of the area. So Rutherford
I didn't like this.
No.
No, this was not. This was not Starfleet. This was not, and it was not indicative of the exocomps who were one. I remember sacrificed itself, but maybe they're as diverse of a race as any. And I guess there are cowardly exocomps.
So Rutherford said that he turns to normal. He says he's gonna sacrifice himself. Basically, Shax, the wonderful angel, Bajoran angel that he is, picks him up, puts him over his shoulder, basically takes him to the shuttlecraft, fights.
So good. Everything was Shax. When he was like, is it before he gets into the shuttle? He's like, "This is the greatest day of my life," or was it when he lands the shuttle into the ship and he's in his element. He is living it, and he's obviously a homage to Worf, even though he's Bajoran. He's definitely like a Worf-esque character.
But he seems a lot more than Kira Nerys does. He seems like a freedom fighter. Like he has that I'm gonna fight to my last breath type of thing. I'm gonna look death in the eye and I'm never blink. Like he is like, I would be scared to face this person in any type of thing.
Considering Shax's age, he would have definitely grown up and been an adult during the Bajoran occupation. And what his role in the Resistance or when he joined Starfleet is unclear. But he seems like a guy who could fight.
Yeah, definitely. Keep going.
Okay, and Badgie, can we just stop on Badgie? Because I hated Badgie in this episode. I get that it served for the plot of this and whatever, but Badgie better be dead forever because I don't like this character. I don't like the dynamic with Rutherford. It's just not good for me. Like it's bad. Less of this.
It's not even Star Trek. It's a cartoon trope.
Yeah, it sucks.
What is
Badgie, the animated evil character?
Yeah, it's just like it wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was corny. I don't like this character. Even for an evil hologram, even if it's plausible within Star Trek world, it's not a good execution, and I don't like it. And Jody thinks the exocomps are not cowards; they're just assholes. I think there are some cowardly exocomps. I think this peanut hamper is one of them. Instant peanut hammer. Okay, so what else? Do we cover? And then the Titan. Okay. So we haven't gotten into the fact that it's Riker and Troy to save the day. Jeff, were you happy to see them? Were you sort of indifferent to it? How did their presence and the whole fact that Next Generation's theme song was going like pretty strong in that part.
Yeah, whatever. Like I think they just pulled it out for the finale or whatever, and it was a good. Like I think if you were a huge fan of TNG, I think you liked it, you appreciated it, but like, did it make the episode any better? No, not really. It's kind of a nice thing.
Jaemeel, we saw that in 2 finales this year, Star Trek Picard and this one here in Star Trek Lower Decks. Again, Riker shows up. Now, again, these events are like 20 years apart or something. Like
yeah.
I
kept thinking about that
because Riker shows up at the end of spoilers to Star Trek Picard if you haven't watched it, but at the end of Star Trek Picard, Riker shows up with the fleet and kind of saves the day. 19 years after this. Did
Doesn't it seem
you?
like Riker's style? Riker doesn't seem like the one that's going to be the thick of things, right? He's going to be he's the swashbuckling hero, or he would like to think of himself as that, the romantic lead that comes and sweeps the lady off their feet. So this to me just kind of fits his profile.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, okay, my only thought on it was that next gen music was too much. Like, it went on a little too strong and a little too long. But that's what. So those are maybe my biggest criticisms. Like the Exocomp was not my favorite part. I'd say that Badgie was definitely a negative for me, and they leaned a little too hard. They winked a little too hard at the camera. The fact that Riker and Troy were back, but I get it. There's probably some fans who were like, they're back. But I'm like, Jonathan
Let me
Frakes
ask
never
you this.
left.
I could make this a lot worse. I could make
Yeah.
this a lot worse. Replacing the music easily.
With what?
One thing, they change it to sabotage. Would you hate it more?
Would I hate it more if it was Sabotage or Faith of the Heart? I got to think about it. So it's which we got reference dialogue tonight.
We got a Faith of the Heart reference, so that was cool.
We got a
But
Faith of the Heart reference, and he was back down on the holodeck again, watching what Archer was up to, which was like amazing joke.
I think it's a reference to the fact that the end of Enterprise, right?
Yeah, and he now acknowledges, he now regrets his role in that episode, and that whole the whole finale of Enterprise with the fact that it has Jonathan Frakes and
it's a
Miriam
clip show.
Sirtis.
It's a
clip show,
it's a
and
clip show.
It's hated by the cast. It's hated. Jonathan Frakes and Miriam Sirtis regret their participation. Brandon Braga, that was the end of him. Like they were like screw off forever out of Star Trek. Brandon Braga.
I'll mention what I think later on about that.
Right, but so I thought it was a dig at that where he's like, I'm sorry I'm late. I was watching the first Enterprise on the holodeck. You know Archer and those guys? What a story. Those guys had a long road getting from there to here. So much.
But their time is finally here.
Yes, fine.
But the time is finally here. Enterprise is great. Hey, like you must have been happy with the Enterprise. Okay, but Jody, is that Enterprise finale great? I don't think you would agree with that.
No, he's not. And look, you don't have to wait for his response. The answer is no. He's gonna say no.
Adam Woodward saying we're way too hard on Enterprise, guys.
I don't think I'm hard on Enterprise. Enterprise is a show that had an amazing pilot, and there was a lot of missteps throughout the way. And then third season, they kind of found their footing, and they had a lot of strong episodes, and the series ended. That's the story of Enterprise.
Right. Yep. And I just think that the finale of Enterprise was a disservice to the show.
Yeah.
And I think that the last two seasons of Enterprise are much better than the first two. My biggest criticism, I don't like Bakula really in the role. I don't think that the cast ever really gelled. I think they had some good stories though, and I think that some of the actors stand out more than others. I think that Jolene Blaylock is really good. I think that Phlox, who plays Phlox, whatever, but he's really good too. And Hoshi's good. And I can deal with Reed and
Mayweather.
No, Mayweather and Bakula. They're my least favorite parts of that cast. So it's
Evil Hoshi is the best.
Evil Hoshi's clearly Evil Hoshi's the best of the entire lot.
Everyone is better than the rest of them.
But yes, and yeah, so Jody and I are on the same page with this show. Enterprise finale was bad, but the 3 to 4 seasons was amazing. Yeah. Like, I think that actually that episode of Enterprise ruins the Pegasus episode a little bit. The one that it's supposed to be crossing.
Just retcon that entire episode.
All right, can we
get back on track? Can
we get back on track and rate this episode?
All right. Well, what from the episode so we talked about Riker. He was back. Jeff he was okay with it. And then
Freedom for Shax. That's it. We have the earring on the shelf.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Shax.
The Shax funeral was great. Like just the picture of him too. Him going like the face he's making and his little headshot.
Great. The agreement that what's it called again? That Freeman and Mariner are gonna team up. She's gonna be her like kind of rogue agent. You
Yeah, I
have,
don't really understand how they are going to team up. What
yeah,
that means.
they didn't really
but-
describe it, but once again, you leave it open ending for you to have flexibility for the next season, right? You have Boimler, sorry, um, taking the Sacramento position, and we see like a new. We see Boimler in a different light. He's kind of taken a lot of Mariner's kind of attitudes and isms to heart, and is applying it to his new position. He's the top interesting dog there.
Well, we saw that a little bit at the opening where he reveals that Freeman's the mom, and he was already kind of adopting a little bit of this of Mariner's spirit. He
Yeah.
has been sort of all along, but he's kind of a different person than he was, right?
Yeah, I would say so. From the neurotic Cochrane-esque character he was from the beginning of the show.
Oh, so now looking forward to watching this finale, says Adam. So this one, what we're talking about right now, you should be. It's a good one.
You should
It's
be.
a
You
good-
should be.
If you're just if you're getting
Yeah.
like the notes here, yeah, there's some great appearances and some ties in
Mm.
with a whole bunch of fun stuff.
Did you like Rutherford losing his memory?
I don't love it.
I'm fine with it. It's whatever.
But on
But
the
he
other
doesn't
hand,
remember Shax.
I remember when on Voyager when the Doctor lost his memory or whatever, like it was in season 2, and basically I don't know, but it's kind of inferred he did get those memories back. I've never been quite clear on it, but I really think
It didn't matter. It didn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It will be fine. I like the idea of like Tendi just saying we did this. He was like, "Oh, that sounds great," and he's just that his implant really didn't have a lot to do on his personality. Plus, we didn't really talk about that in Rutherford in this episode. The fact that he was switching between all these different
I
personalities.
hated it. I hated that.
It was whatever.
It was
For the
whatever.
kids.
It was sort of a distraction, I think, from the bigger episode in a lot of ways.
I could have done without it.
I don't know. Rutherford.
Wow.
Wow,
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he is.
Jody, hot take. Hot take.
Wow. Okay.
It seems like a lot packed into this 30-minute shows. It wasn't a double episode, but it sure felt like it.
It felt like
Like-
it.
Felt like it.
Yeah, there was
it
just so much
good.
going on. They fit in like everything. It was like plus like there was all this stuff going on with Rutherford, and then Tendi had this whole thing with Peanut Hamper, and then it was just like Boimler and Mariner had stuff, but Mariner and Freeman had weird things, and Ransom had a whole bunch of great jokes, and then Riker and Troy showed up, and
But that's how I know shit is not canon. They have a fucking character called Peanut Hamper on this show, Dave.
and a dog named the Dog.
I rest my case.
Yeah, and they were talking about little Horgons.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought it was great. Like I thought, okay, so we were on the end of the episode with Boimler. So Rutherford. I just don't. Yeah, we talked about it. His thing was kind of whatever. Tendi was kind of whatever this episode. I think Mariner was the best part of this episode. I think Boimler. I like the way it ends. I love the heel turn of Boimler here, which is
it
what
was
I
me,
consider-
Austin. It was me all along.
It was me all along. Yeah, it was just kind of like I thought it was a bit. I like kind of like Boimler's becoming a little bit more.
And he
rogue?
goes there. And he
Yeah.
goes there.
Yeah, it was cool. And I okay, and then we haven't talked about the uniforms yet. We need to talk about the uniforms. Just
Why is Boimler's uniform like different when he's on with Riker and Titan?
Well, we
the
did talk
Titan?
about it. I'm sorry, we did talk about it, but it was yeah, like it was great. I love that we have these side by side. Because I was like, how can this be the uniform in 2380 when in just 2379 in Nemesis there wasn't going on? But maybe those guys in Deep Space assignments or something are wearing those. I just love it. I love that we have these coming.
I
through.
just love it.
I just love it. Love it. I love the fact that they have.
Is it because of the? Is it because the California class ships all wear like the similar style uniform?
They were
Yeah.
a color, right? And like there's different classes within the California class. Like because Cerritos has that gold strip, they're more of an engineering focused task. Whereas
Mhm.
like we saw this other ship that got blown up, whatever it was called, the Rebido or
Sol-
whatever.
No, it was a Solvang.
Solvac. The Solvac had the red strip, and so they do more like tactical, and they transport ambassadors around, and they do more command level.
Well, they did a terrible job with tactical.
Right.
Right.
I think there was a
Fair
blue.
blowout.
There was one with a blue piping earlier. Like we really see this California class ship a lot, and it's a ship that's really growing on me.
What
Like,
did you think about that captain at the beginning when she was like, "Go to warp," and like, what did you think of that other captain?
I thought
Well,
she was a dunk
you
bag
saw
dump.
the experience of Freeman versus the other captain
Right,
because she
right.
immediately recognizes like, no, you're gonna you're gonna destroy this ship, right? Cut all engines,
It
right? And
was
that's
great,
strong
great.
captain, strong captain.
Strong captain and good writing. Good way to write the situation. It's not. It's a trope that's been used in writing for a long time, but it worked. It worked really well here. I thought that the problem solving is what it's about. It's about the team fighting together, taking on the invaders. It was Starfleet. It was exciting.
If this was the Enterprise, it would be Data making the virus, right?
Yeah.
And it would be
Mm,
most likely Data would be the transport mechanism for that virus.
right,
So
right. And Worf would have to sacrifice himself for Data.
although Data could kind of like do everything himself, really, but
Right.
And how about that Titan? What a sexy ship it was. We never saw the Titan because they only talked about it in Nemesis, right? We've never actually seen the ship on screen before. It was in a whole bunch of books they wrote about like Riker's years on the Titan, and here we actually see it on camera.
why
It's a
not?
drawing, but it's
Why not
animated,
a
but whatever.
show? You know, why not a show doing the stories of Riker and the Titan, right?
Right?
Normally, it
And we
doesn't
would get to meet.
necessarily
We
be a
would
main character.
right because we know that they're going to have two children, right? And one of them, Thad, right, their oldest son, their son is going to die, right? We know this from Picard. So, but you can tell the stories with him involved or whatever. I guess them being parents. I don't know. I'd be fine with it because
Boring.
I've always wanted more of these characters. I'm like, give me. That's why I'm excited to hear that Kate Mulgrew's back as Janeway. I always want to know, like when 709 came back in Picard. That's exciting. When you bring in new characters, I'm good with that too. I think that all these new characters on Lower Decks I'm liking, but it doesn't mean that I'm necessarily going to like them just because they're new. Like they have to win me over, respectively, all of them.
Okay,
A lot of those new Picard characters didn't.
okay, let's
They
rate
haven't.
it. Let's rate it.
Okay, let's rate it. Let's rate it. We went. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry.
Jeff is ready. Jeff is ready to rate. He's gonna like 0. 0. I'm rating this 0.
By the glory of Bajor.
Just bringing it up, guys.
Child.
Come on, child.
Come, child. Let's rate the episode.
Rate the episode and look at this whole season just in terms of the ratings. Okay, so this was called No Small Parts, right?
And to be fair, everyone had a part in this episode. They like crammed like a moment for every single person.
Yeah, maybe a little bit too much so, but that's okay. Okay, so let's just bring this up. So this is our rating so far. So I will go first this time. I'm going to give this episode. So hard to go up from last week, eh?
You kind of backed yourself in a corner there, did you?
I know. I liked this just as much, maybe. I'm going to give it a 9.7, but it's
Wow. Okay. That's okay.
Taking a point off of the exocomp. I'm taking a point off for the a couple of the bad jokes with Badgie, but that's it. Jeff?
8.7.
A lot higher than I thought you were going to put it.
Jaemeel?
It's an 8.5.
Half. Okay. So, and just the average of the three of us is a 9. So,
yeah, that's mostly because of you, friend. 9.7.
Well,
wow.
I don't know. I'm trying to decide where I want to rate this. Did I like it as much as last week? I feel like I do, but there was things I didn't like about it. So I feel like maybe 9.5 is sort of what I feel, but it's still really positive. I'm still really high on the episode, but it's like I don't know how much I'm buzzing about it, and I might revisit some of these ratings one day. But when I rewatch it, but just to kind of look at the season. So guys, we started off. If we look at how as a group we went 6.1 was the pilot. So not great. We didn't come in strong. Then we had a couple of good weeks with episode 2 and 3. We were in the 8s. We were averaging in the 8s. A lot of that was because of my rating. not you guys. And then we had 3 weeks in a row where it was rough, like a little bit, like not great, not terrible. It was like
I like that
6.8,
episode.
5,
Cupid's error.
5.3.
I rated it pretty high.
Yeah, you rated that one much higher than I did. Like my lowest rated episode of the season was what? Was Terminal Provocations,
Which I gave a 5.
which is our lowest rated ever. So what was I don't even remember what Terminal Provocations was about, but
I could probably find it quickly.
we didn't like it too much.
That was that was the one with the shoot, what's his name? Fletcher.
That's what it was. Yeah, that wasn't great. Yeah, so just to look, so it was kind of like, the middle was weak. I think but this is great. So average for the whole season is 7.5. Jeff, you were the lowest rated. I was the highest, and Jameel's in the middle. So we have sort of all the
on the dot to the season average.
Yep. Yeah, we're kind of the three. We got the three perspectives a little bit.
Yeah.
Or in terms of, like, I'm maybe a little overly enthusiastic, Jeff. Maybe
the uniforms. Look at the uniforms, Jeff.
Look at the
uniforms.
We don't care. Just give me a good story, and don't kill my favorite characters.
Yeah, and don't tell me it's canon.
And if anyone
well, not canon, I don't have to tell me anything.
If anyone was like, if there was like anyone was like a bug in our conversations while the episode was going, you would hear me go, it has to be a time travel episode. They can't do Shax like this. They can't kill him. It has to be a time travel.
You were going on. You were like, it's a time travel episode. It's a time. I'm like, I don't.
It has to be.
Q's
going to show up.
There's no time left. I know that's kind of funny to say.
There's no time. We don't have the time.
Hold
on. Be talking about time. We don't have time.
It just felt like they got to run that back. He's such a great character. Why would you take away when you find a strong character, you don't get rid of him, you hold on to it and you expand their role.
Timeline. This is no time to argue about time. We don't have the time.
Don't have the time.
All right. So, what's on the horizon, friends?
Well, on the horizon, we're gonna have we're gonna be wrapping up this whole season of Star Trek Lower Decks. We're gonna be in Jody, the Millards, and Jeff and Jaemeel. I don't know which or both of you are going to sit in on that panel, but I hope you'll consider it. And we're going to probably try to get that in between now and next Thursday. I don't know exactly when. Maybe over this weekend. We'll see what we can schedule. And we'll be back next Thursday. If you're a Thursday watcher here on Live Long and Podcast, we'll be back next week for Star Trek Discovery Season 3. At least I will be here with hopefully Adam Woodward and
Michael Chan
and Josh Shields or some combination of that group. I might be away from Big Brother next week. We'll see how if we're going to manage it all.
I'm going to be here for DS9.
DS9 on Tuesdays, and Jeff and Jaemeel will both be here on DS9 on Tuesdays as we're continuing our rewatch of that show, 3.5 year journey. We're into season 2 now, and what are we doing next? I can't remember right now, guys, but we're partway through season.
It's the Rules of Acquisition.
Oh, Rules of Acquisition.
Yes, Rules of Acquisition. Yes. Great episode.
A Quark episode, focused episode. First contact with the Dominion, as I recall. Oh, we didn't talk about my favorite joke of tonight was that guy who used to date Mariner, who said like
Warp 359 was an inside job.
Warp 359 was an inside job, and then he goes, "The Dominion War didn't happen."
The Dominion War didn't happen. It's all hoax.
And he goes, "Yeah, it totally was an inside job." So anyway,
just imagine that character being in the vicinity of Shax and saying something like that.
Yeah,
we'll never get to see it.
We won't.
No, he would have the eye would have popped out of his head just like he did with Rutherford.
Yeah.
Okay. And so
you have the original series on Wednesday.
On Wednesdays, and and then we do Star Trek Radio Theater on the weekends, and we're going to be doing not this weekend, but next weekend we're doing Saturday night. We're doing Star Trek Voyagers in the Flesh, which is the episode where 8472s are pretending to be humans inside of a simulation of Starfleet Academy, and Voyager comes across this, and Chakotay goes on a date with an 8472. Hilarity ensues. So check that out next Saturday after as we're taking this weekend off for Canadian Thanksgiving and for scheduling reasons and other
for Thanksgiving.
for Thanksgiving.
The real Thanksgiving.
The real Canadian Thanksgiving.
The real
So,
Thanksgiving.
Yes, and it will be Columbus Day in the States on Monday as well.
Yes.
Not a thing. Yeah. Why is this still a thing, as they would say? So anyway, so that's everything. Our other channels are Super Mater Brothers Podcasting, where we cover Big Brother 3 times a week. Just finishing up season 22. We also do some scripted shows over there, including Westworld, and we've done Survivor and different things. So check that out. And our other thing is once a month we do Trivial Debates, where we argue about movies, sports, TV, and more. So check that at the end of every month. We have a new episode coming out. We had one just the beginning of this month, or no, sorry, last month. We did the September episode. So I guess Halloween will be coming up. We got to have a Halloween themed episode of Trivial Debates pretty soon. So that's going to be coming. Anyway, so thank you if you've been watching listening all season here on Live Long and Podcast for our Lower Decks rewatch. We hope you like our content, and we hope you subscribe and keep coming back and commenting. And thank you, everybody. Thanks, Jaemeel. Thanks, Jeff, for sticking with us the whole season. And we will be back hopefully next season to cover season 2 of Star Trek Lower Decks. That's going to be exciting. And of course, we're going to do that whole season recap, which will be at the tail end of our playlist here if you're following along. Anyway,